Hello everyone and a very good evening. Now before we start this session, quickly let me know if I am perfectly visible and audible to everyone out there or not. Quickly, you can write in the comment section below. Kavin Radha Rajaraman, good evening ma'am. Hema, hello ma'am. Sai Vishwanath, hi ma'am, I'm new to this class. Hema, you're clearly visible and audible. R. Shobana, yes ma'am. Bhavesh, good evening. Yes. So we have Papiya here. Parvati, Ashwarya. Yes. Okay. Quickly. Sonakshi is there. Yes. Alright. So there is no glitch at all. So that means we can continue. Alright, so welcome to all in yet another wonderful session. My name is Khushbu. So as you would have seen the title of the video, so today we'll be discussing questions from the chapter Linear Equation in Two Variables and Coordinate Geometry. Now both these chapters are very important. Why? Because these are a part of your 10th grade syllabus as well. So just focus what I am teaching you today, because learning the concepts, your fundamentals, your basics and all should be very strong, right? Alright, so how many of you, just tell me, like, how do you find this chapter? Easy, moderate, difficult? How is it? Yeah, quickly, you can let me know in the chat window. Yeah, Shiva Ranjani, yes, hi. Papiya says, easy peasy chapter. Okay, great. Yes. Kavin Radha, moderate. Abhinav, nothing. What do you mean nothing? Is it very simple for you? Abhishek, easy ma'am. Tanisha, moderate. Kashi, easy. Shiv Ranjani, easy. Vivek, coordinate geometry is easy. So you find linear equations difficult, yeah? Okay. Very easy. Bhavesh, easy ma'am. Sai Satyam, easy ma'am, easy peasy. Okay. Alright, so most of you find these chapters easy, right? That's good. Alright, so without wasting any more time here, let's first take a look at the contents of these chapter. So these are the contents of the chapter Linear Equation in Two Variables and Coordinate Geometry. And very important thing, there is no change in the syllabus for these two chapters. So we need to study all the topics that they have, all the concepts. Linear equations of the type ax plus by plus c equals to 0, solutions of a linear equation, algebraic and graphical representation, Cartesian plane, coordinates of a point. Ankit, ma'am, my syllabus is completed. What should I do now? See, if your syllabus is completed, that's really good, because board examinations are close. So practice as much as you can. Practice the sample papers that are available in the market, which are provided by the CBSE. Kiwi says, coordinate geometry is little hard. Okay. Papiya. Okay, now you can see the comments. You can see the content. Priya, ये chapter 10th grade के हैं. ये see, these chapters are in grade 10 as well and in grade 9th also, right? That's why I said that these are important. Okay, Hema, I'm getting difficulty in forming the equations. See, whatever difficulties you have in these topics, trust me, by the end of this session, you'd start loving these chapters. You will feel that there is nothing in it, and whomsoever feels that it's an easy one, trust me, by the end of this session, you would say that you would be having more confidence in these concepts. Alright, so without wasting any more time here, let's start off with the questions. So whatever questions I'm going to discuss today, as always, we will start with the easy ones, then some moderate ones, and the best are saved for the last. So the difficult ones would be discussed at the end, so watch the entire session. Alright, so let's start off with the first question. This is the difficulty level meter that you would see in every question. If you see two greens over here, that means it's a simple one. It's an easy question. If you see two yellows over here, it means it's a moderate question. Orange and red denotes that it's a difficult level one. So this is a simple one. Let's start off with this. But I want you to write your answers in the you to report your answers to me, and those who don't know how to solve it, that's okay. You can work with me. So if the perpendicular distance of a point P from the x-axis is 5 units and the foot of the perpendicular lies on the negative direction of x-axis, then the point P has, right? If in the options you see, we are given B, C and D are talking about the y coordinate, whereas option A is talking about the x coordinate. Let's first understand what the meaning of this statement is, right? So this is the Cartesian plane. I just saw somebody wrote what Cartesian plane is. So this is the Cartesian plane, right? The x and y axis over here. All right. So if what we are going to do here is we have to tell what this point P is, right? What are the coordinates of this point P? So for that we have to locate this point on the graph. So according to the given information, let's just break this down. The perpendicular distance, perpendicular means straight line, right? From the x-axis is 5 units. So from the x-axis it is 5 units. So it can be here as well. It can be here, maybe here, maybe here, maybe here, or maybe here. I'm just drawing the random lines after reading out the statement. But if you read the next line, the foot of the perpendicular lies on the negative direction of x-axis. What is the negative direction of x-axis? Negative direction of x-axis is this one, right? This is the negative direction of x-axis. So that means we are not talking about the first and the fourth quadrant. We are talking about the second and the third quadrant, right? Point P is lying in second and third quadrant, that means. And it is lying on the negative of x-axis, that we know. Also, that it is a distance of 5 units from this. So this is the graph that we have, right? So as I said, it will be in the second or third quadrant. So this point can be like this, right? It is at a distance of 5 units from the x-axis, from the negative of x-axis. It can be like this also. So in all of them, what we see here is that our x-coordinate can have different values, right? It's not necessary that these lines would be here only. It can be here as well, it can be here as well, maybe here, right? So x-coordinate will have different values, but y-coordinate can have only 2 values, that is 5 and minus 5, right? Yes. So that means y-coordinate over here is going to be minus 5, or you can say it's going to be 5. So Hema, Shivranjani and okay, Tanisha, all are saying minus 5 only. Why minus 5 only? We can take 5 also. See, there is no restriction on the y coordinate. The restriction was on x coordinate basically. What was given that it has to be on negative of x axis, right? So definitely we could pick these points only, right? Whichever are on the x axis. Y coordinate can be 5 as well as minus 5. Where is it mentioned that we cannot calculate from this side, or we cannot measure from this quadrant or this quadrant? Agrima, minus 5 and 5. Priya, minus 5 and 5. Tanushri, yes, plus minus 5. Sai Satyam, option C cannot be answered. We are considering both the points, right? 5 as well as minus 5. Alright, Hema says, got it ma'am, great. Priya, minus 5, 5. Papiya, minus 5, 5. Bhavesh, 5 and minus 5 both will be considered because the distance is 5 units from the negative of x-axis, right? So from negative of x-axis, it's 5 from here as well, from here as well. Where is it mentioned from? Mentioned in the question that you cannot measure from the other side. Rohit, amazing. Abhinav, yes ma'am. Sri Charan, it's option D. Shobna, option A, no. We see x coordinate cannot be the answer because x coordinate can take different values over here, right? It just says it is lying on the negative of x-axis. So it can have different values. Maybe this is the line that we have. Let me just show it to you. Maybe we can have this line. Maybe we can have this line, right? So every time you see your x coordinate is changing, right? All right, Varsha, Papiya, option C. No, it's not option C. So that means option D is the right answer for this question. I hope that all of you have understood this. Quickly, just let me know in the chat window. Let me know that you have understood this question. Is it crystal clear to all of you? Sri Charan, great explanation. Realized my mistake. All right. Kibi, yes ma'am. Rohit, sure ma'am. Fahima, please explain again. So what we are doing here is, Fahima, we are calculating this distance from the negative of x-axis. So that means I'm considering this only, right? And the distance of this point P from the x-axis is 5 units. So 5 units is here. It's here as well. I can calculate from here. I can calculate from here. I can calculate this 5 units from here, or maybe from here, maybe from here. So all these points can be considered. But on all these points, if you see, x coordinate is changing. But y coordinate, if you measure from second quadrant, it's 5 units. But if you measure from fourth quadrant, if you measure from third quadrant, it's minus 5, right? So that means y coordinate can take these 2 values, but x coordinate will have different values over here. Tanushri, crystal clear, ma'am. Sai Satyam, we forgot the option, so we give wrong answer. Okay. All right, so it's clear to all of you now. All right, that means option D is the correct answer for this question. All right, so let's move ahead. So if the coordinates of the 2 points are P minus 2 comma 3 and Q minus 3 comma 5, then abscissa of P minus abscissa of Q is. First of all, we are given the points here, right? We are talking about the abscissa of these points. What is abscissa actually? Right? First we need to know is, so abscissa is basically the x coordinate of any point. Like if I talk about this point P, what is the x coordinate here? You would say that that's minus 2. This is the abscissa for this point, right? If you talk about this Q minus 3 comma 5, what is the abscissa here? You would say it's minus 3 because that's the x coordinate over here. So now we know the abscissa. All we have to do is we just have to subtract them, okay? So we will write minus 2 minus minus 3, correct? And that is going to be equals to minus 2 plus 3. So plus minus minus, what do we get? We get positive 1, right? Which is option B. Yes, Sri Charan, Fahima, Tanushri, Priya, x coordinate. Yes, absolutely. Our abscissa is the x coordinate of the point. Athisham, yes, it's option B. Amrita, B, and it's 1. Yes, Chandra, yes. Option B, that's 1 is the right answer for this question. So this is the one. Option B is the correct answer. So this was a pretty easy one, right? Now we know what abscissa is. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next question, and you can see that this is a moderate one. So the graph of the linear equation 2x plus 3y is equal to 6 is a line which meets the x-axis at the point. See, we are given a linear equation over here. 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, right? The graph of this equation is a line and it is meeting the x-axis at some point. We have to tell what that point is. There are two ways to do this question. One way that we plot it on a graph, right? The points on the graph, then we see where is it meeting on the x-axis. But that is going to be a little time consuming. Don't you feel that, right? So in exams, obviously in your exam, you won't have that much of time that you make a graph for such kind of questions, then you look for the value. So I tell you a very simple thing, right? See, these small things that I'm telling you, these small concepts, it will actually help you. So just note it down somewhere. When I'm just drawing a rough graph, this line, the question mentions that it's meeting the x-axis at some point. I don't know how this line is. Maybe it's like this, or maybe it's like this, maybe it's like, I don't know what kind of line is this, but I'm just telling you roughly. Let's suppose this line is like this, okay? It says it is meeting at the x-axis at some point. Since it is meeting at the x-axis, so on x-axis, remember one thing, your y-coordinate in that case will always be 0. What do we call a y-coordinate of a point? It's called the ordinate. I'm repeating one more time. In a point, the x-coordinate is called the abscissa and the y-coordinate is called the ordinate. So since it is meeting somewhere on the x-axis, I don't know what that point is. The first point I don't know. But yes, definitely the y-coordinate is 0. Remember this thing. Now since y-coordinate is 0, I can say one thing, that here in this equation, I'll put y as 0. So from here, I'll get the value of x, right? Okay, so we have 2x plus 0 equals to 6, which is 2x equal to 6. From here, you get the value of x. That's going to be 6 by 2, which is nothing but 3. That means, as I said, that it is intersecting the x-axis at some point. So here, the abscissa is 3, that means the x-coordinate, and ordinate, that means the y-coordinate, as we discussed, that's going to be 0. Whether it's east or west, BYJU'S is best, yeah? Thank you. All right, so that means 3, 0 should be the point in this case, right? Tanushri, it's C. Shreyanshi, C. Yes. Aditi, Fahima, Athisham, absolutely. Okay. All right, so that means this is the right answer for this question. So option C is the correct one. So you see these small things, like as I told you that when a line is meeting on the x-axis, and in that case your y-coordinate will, so these kind of things you should note it down somewhere. All right, let's move ahead. Let's take a look at the next question. On plotting the points O 0, 0, A 3, 0, B 3, 4, C 0, 4 and joining OA, AB, BC and CO, which of the following figures is obtained? Do we get a square, rectangle, trapezium or a rhombus? Tanisha, Ma'am, can I use middle term splitting in this question? In the previous one, middle term splitting can't be used. That was just, that was not a quadratic equation, right? That was a linear equation. So no need to use we cannot use middle term splitting in this. We only use that in quadratic equations. Pulkit, nicely explained. Thank you, Pulkit. I'm glad that you understood. Okay, now here we have different points, O, A, B and C. After joining them, it's mentioned in the question that we have to join them. So what kind of figure do we obtain? Now this time we'll have to plot a graph for this, right? So let's plot these points on the graph. This is the Cartesian plane that we have, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plot these points on the graph. Let's start off with this point O, that is 0, 0. We know that 0, 0 is at origin, right? Then we have this 3, 0. Again you see y coordinate, the ordinate over here is 0. So it is lying on x-axis, right? So here we have point A. Then we have our point B, which is 3, 4. X is 3 and y is 4 over here. Correct? That's 3, 4. And C is 0, 4. See, on y-axis, your abscissa, your x-coordinate is 0. So we have plotted the points. All we have to do is just join them now, and we see that we have got this figure. What is this? Obviously, this is not a square or a rectangle, right? Why? I'm sorry, it's not a square or a rhombus, because in square or rhombus, all the sides are equal. Definitely it's not a trapezium, it's clearly evident. What we can see here is that the length and breadth are different. So that means the figure obtained that we have obtained over here is a rectangle in this case, which is our option B. Alright, let me see. Khushbu ma'am, my favorite. Thank you, Tanisha. Rajat says it's B. Abhinav, rectangle. Shriyanshi, Priya, Tanushri. Yes, Hema, absolutely. This is option B. Priya. Yes, it's a rectangle. So it was a very simple one to guess, right? This was a moderate question, but you see, in some questions you might have to draw the graph, in some it might not be required. So depending on the questions, you have to see this. Tanushri, there is no fear when BYJU'S is here. Thank you. All right. Okay, let's move to the next one now. A point lies on the x-axis at a distance of 7 units from the y-axis. What are its coordinates? This is the first question we have here. What will be the coordinates if it lies on y-axis at a distance of -7 units from the x-axis? So two questions have been asked over here. So to understand this question, let's plot these points on the graph. Okay. So we have our graph here. So there is a point which is lying on the x-axis. Now carefully listen to me. It's mentioned it is lying on the x-axis. See, it is not, since it is lying on the x-axis, that means we are talking about the positive of x-axis. We're not talking about the negative x-axis, right? Only positive x-axis we have to consider. And this point is at a distance of 7 units from the y-axis. Where is your y-axis? Y-axis is here, right? It is at a distance of 7 units from this. And this point is on the x-axis. Since it is on the x-axis, it would be somewhere here, right? So this is the point that we have here. You see, it is at a distance of 7 units from the y-axis. It is lying on the positive side of x-axis. Since it is lying on the x-axis, what did I tell you? Just remember a couple of minutes before I told you that when a point is lying on the x-axis, in that case what happens is your y-coordinate, your ordinate in that case is going to be 0. Agrima, how do we know that it lies on the positive? Since Agrima, it's not mentioned in the question that its point is on the negative of x-axis or it is on x-axis. That's why we know this thing. Yes, Deepak says it should be 7, 0. Tanushri has given the answer for the next part, -7, 0. Tanushri, it can't be -7, 0. I'll just explain this thing. 7, 0 is right for the first question. Yes. All right. So now we know that the point is lying on the positive of x-axis. That's why we are considering only the positive part. See, when it doesn't, it was neither mentioned that it was on the positive side. Agrima, see what happens is, if it doesn't say that it is on negative x-axis or it is on x-axis, in that case we consider only the positive part. This is our x-axis. If it says it is on negative of x-axis or x-axis, in that case only you will consider negative. Alright, Balaji, ma'am, I'm really scared of maths exam. Please tell me how to get rid of it. See, Balaji, it's a very simple subject. In fact, I feel that maths is simplest of all the subjects. You don't have to cram anything. You don't have to mug up anything. It just requires practice. If your concepts, your fundamentals, your basics are clear, your basics are strong, seriously, I must tell you that even during the exam, you would feel that you don't need to practice anything in maths, right? If your concepts are strong. Super study, ma'am. Very nice explanation. Thank you. So I hope this is clear that if x-axis is there, that means we are considering the positive side, right? Until and unless it's mentioned in the question that it is x dash axis or negative of x-axis. Okay. Now let's talk about the second part here, right? What will be the coordinates if it lies on y-axis at a distance of -7 units from x-axis? Now the coordinates we have to find out. If it is lying on the y-axis, this time it is lying on the y-axis at a distance of -7 units from the x-axis. Okay. Since you see distance is never negative, right? But here it is mentioned it is lying on the y-axis. I don't know on the positive side or the negative sign, but question mentions that -7 units from x-axis. Since it is mentioning that it is -7, that means we are considering the negative part here. These are the small keywords that you need to look for, okay? That means from the x-axis, -7 units are going to be there, not in the upward direction, okay? Because this was mentioned. So that's going to be 0, -7. See, since it is lying on y-axis, here the abscissa is 0, right? The x-coordinate is 0, okay? So we have 0, -7 over here. That would be the point. So these are the two coordinates that we have. Rajat, 0, -7. Rajendra, Shiva Ranjani, yes. Sai Satyam, okay. Hema, yes. Second part is yes, absolutely. Hema, 0, -7. Deepak, -7, 0. How can it be -7, 0? Deepak, this time, read the question. It is on y-axis. Since it is on y-axis, in that case, your x-coordinate, that means your abscissa will be 0. How can it be -7, 0? Tanushri, yes. 0, -7. Absolutely. Shreyanshi, okay. Shardul, yes, 0, -7 is the point. So we know the coordinates for both of them right now, right? All right, so we have understood this. Atisham, Khushbu ma'am teaches very well. Thank you, Atisham. All right, let's move ahead. Let's take a look at the next question. Okay, so this is a moderate one, you can see. Now write the coordinates of the vertices of a rectangle whose length and breadth are 5 and 3 units respectively. One vertex is at the origin and the longer side lies on the x-axis. One of the vertices lies in the third quadrant. Oh my God, so much information is there in this question, right? Okay, so what do we do? See, let's plot them on a graph, right? Let's break them one by one. We are going to do that. So this is the graph that we have, right? It says we are talking about a rectangle. Now we know that a rectangle will be formed, right? 4 vertices would be there. Okay. Okay, so length is 5 units. Length is 5 units and this is the length that has been drawn over here. 5 units is the length, okay. Breadth is 3 units, okay. Breadth is 3 units, you can see, right? This is the breadth, that's 3 units. One vertex is at the origin. We can see here, yes, one vertex at the origin. And the longer side lies on y-axis, lies on x-axis. Longer side means here length is 5 units. That's the longer side. It is lying on the x-axis, right? That's why we know that we had to start from here, correct? Tanushri, ma'am, I feel east or best, maths is the best. I'm glad that you like this subject. Okay, so length is the length given over here is the longer side. This is on x-axis. So it is completely satisfying all this. Now, coming to the fourth one of the vertices lies in the third quadrant. But what we see here is that all our vertices, right, they are lying in the first quadrant. So for third quadrant, it actually has to be in third quadrant, right? So you see, again I'm reading out the question. The longer side here is lying on the x-axis. What is the longer side? That's the length of 5 units, correct? Breadth over here is 3 units. One vertex is at the origin and one vertex lies in the third quadrant, which is here. You see, it is satisfying all the points, right? Om Prakash, miss, is the best math is best. Atisham, mathematics, love, yeah? All right, Rajit, okay, I am explaining you again. See, it has to satisfy all the statements which were given over here. Length was 5 units, okay? But how do we know whether we have to draw it on this axis or y-axis? It was given longer side was on x-axis. So from length and breadth, obviously the length was bigger, that's 5 units. So we drew that on the x-axis. Breadth is 3 units, so breadth is here. One vertex is lying at origin. What is origin here? This is the origin. Vertex is here. And one of the vertices, I mean the fourth vertex, right? It is lying in the third quadrant. This is the third quadrant, right? So we have our required rectangle over here, right? Okay, and this point is minus 5 comma minus 3. Yes, Hema, absolutely, it's minus 5 comma minus 3. So we have to write the coordinates of the vertices of the rectangle over here, right? So this is what? This is 0 comma 0, correct? And this point is what here? Since it is lying here, so that means here the x coordinate will be 0 and y coordinate would be minus 3, right? And this coordinate over here, so this is minus 5 and y coordinate will be 0, minus 5 comma 0. And here the x coordinate is minus 5 and y coordinate is minus 3. So we have written all the coordinates for these vertices, right? 0 comma 0, 5 comma 0, 5 comma minus 3. Tanushri, it's minus 5 comma minus 3, right? Both are, because they both are in the third quadrant. And the fourth point would be 0 comma minus 3. Sai Satyam, very, very nice explanation, ma'am. Thank you so much. Clear my doubts gradually in this chapter. Thanks, ma'am. I'm glad, Sai Satyam, that all your doubts are cleared now. Shardul, ma'am, you're teaching very nicely. Thank you. All right, so we have marked all the coordinates and this is what we were supposed to do in this question. Wow-tastic, ma'am. Aditi Datta. Thank you, Aditi. All right, so we can move ahead to the next question now. So this one you can see, this is a moderate one. So determine the point on the graph of the linear equation 2x plus 5y equals to 19, whose ordinate is 1 by 2 times its abscissa. Okay, so we are talking about this linear equation over here, right? Listen to this question. This is a very nice question. So we have to find that point on the graph where the ordinate means we are talking about the y coordinate, is 1 by 2 times. 1 by 2 times means 3 by 2 times, right? It's abscissa. That means y coordinate is 3 by 2 times the abscissa. We have to find that point on the graph and this linear equation is given. See, I'm not going to plot this on a graph and then check it out, right? What we will do here is simply we will try to find a relation between the abscissa and the ordinate that I just showed you, right? Which is y equals to 3 by 2x according to this. This is the main keyword over here, right? Okay, and we are already given that 2x plus 5y is equal to 19, okay? So to find that point on the graph, what I'll do here is I'll put y in this equation. I'll substitute y as 3 by 2x, okay? So what we get here is we have 2x plus 3 by 2. If I put here 3 times 5 is going to be 15 by 2 into x equals to 19. Okay, so we have this equation now. Let's just simplify this, okay? So what do we get here? After simplifying this, let me show that to you. So here we have, once I take the LCM, that's going to be 4x plus 15x by 2 is equals to 19. That means 19x by 2 is equals to 19 over here, right? So 19 and 19 will get cancelled out and we have x as 2 over here. So we get the value of x from here, right? Now we have the value of x. I need the point. Point has the abscissa as well as the ordinate, right? So we need the value of y coordinate as well. You can put them in any of the equations to find this out, right? So let's suppose if I use this one, let's put x here. So what do we have? We have y is equals to 3 by 2 times 2. Let's cancel this out and we have y equals to 3, right? So the required point in this case is going to be 2 comma 3, right? So without even plotting the graph, we can find this out. So these are the small keywords that you need to look for in the question. Kundan, yes, 2 comma 3. Tanushri, Anand Tiwari, x2 and y3. Fahima, Shreyanshi, Tanushri, yes. Hema, absolutely. So 2 comma 3 is the answer. So you see that in such kind of questions, you need to figure out whether a graph is needed or not, right? Without even drawing a graph also, we can find out the answer in few questions. Priya Bhadwar, yes, thank you so much for great explanation. Thank you, Priya. I'm glad that you are able to understand this. Fan from Kerala, ma'am, you are teaching nicely. Thank you. All right, now it's time for the difficult ones. So here we have a difficult level question. So let's see how simply we can solve this. So the force exerted to pull a cart is directly proportional to the acceleration produced in the body. Express the statement as a linear equation of two variables and draw the graph of the same by taking the constant mass equal to 6 kgs. Read from the graph the force required when the acceleration produced is 5 meter per second square, 6 meter per second square. Okay, so much of information is given in the question, right? Such a long question. So what do we do now? And it looks like it's a physics question, not a maths question. See, physics here is only applied in this part. Rest of it's only maths, okay? So first, all we have to do is, with these statements, we have to form a linear equation. All right. So what we can say here is, read the line carefully. Force exerted to pull a cart, we are talking about the force, okay, is directly proportional. We know what directly proportional is, right? If one increases, the other quantity also increases. If one quantity decreases, the other one also decreases, right? Is directly proportional to the acceleration produced in the body. Everything is mentioned in the question. I'm just doing the literal translation. I remember in the beginning of the session, someone said that they find it difficult to form the equations from these statements, right? So you see what we have done here is, from this statement, I have just done the literal translation, right? The word by word translation of the statement. Yes, Hema? Yes, I think Hema asked this question. Absolutely. So simply word by word translation I have done here. So I can say that F is directly proportional to A. Okay. Express the statement as a linear equation. It's not an equation yet. Equation has an equal to sign in between. Correct? Right, Hema? Now I remember. Yes, you asked this question. Linear equation of two variables. So we have to form an equation from this. So draw the graph of the same by taking constant mass equal to 6 kgs. Now all of you have learned physics, right? So you know that whenever we remove the proportionality sign, we put a constant over there, right? So the constant over here is mentioned in the question. It's going to be the mass here. So F is equals to ma, and the value of mass is also given. That's 6 kgs. So I'll use this and I'll write F is equals to 6a, right? So we have the equation now. We have the required equation now. All we have to do is just plot this on a graph. All right? Cine Studio, BYJU'S, I don't know how to thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cine. Thank you so much. All right, so let's plot this on a graph. This is the graph that we have. You can see on the y-axis we have the force. On the x-axis we have the acceleration. We have plotted a few points over here. All right, so to plot this on a graph, I have to check what the required force will be when the acceleration is 5 meter per second square and 6 meter per second square. Let's start from 0. If acceleration is 0, what was the equation we had? We had F is equals to 6a. So a would be 0 over here. That means force is going to be 0 in this case. So it is 0 in this case, so that's why we have plotted it here, you can see, right? So if acceleration is 0, force is also 0, correct? Okay. Now, when acceleration is 5 over here, that means let's substitute in this equation. 6 times 5 is going to be 30, correct? Now, here force is 30 and acceleration is 5. So it will be plotted here. You see, acceleration is 5 and force is 30, correct? That's how we can plot it. Someone said, nahi samajh aaya. See, what we are doing here is, we had the equation. What was the equation? F is equals to 6a. Using this equation, we just have to plot the graph, right? These are the values for the acceleration, right? So we have the equation. If I have the acceleration, I can easily find out the value of force, correct? What I have done here is, simply I started with acceleration 0, okay? So if I put 0 over here, force will be 0. So that means the point is here, correct? And if here acceleration is 5, so force would be 30. If acceleration is 5, which is on x-axis, force would be 30, which is on y-axis, the point would be here, correct? Okay, now next is, so it will be like this. We just have to draw a line, right, passing through these points. Okay. All right, now what we need is, we are talking about the acceleration when it is 6 meter per second square. So in the same equation, I'll put 6 times 6. What we get here, we have 36 now, right? So in this case, simply when this is 6, force is going to be 36. See, it is passing through this line. Line is passing through these points, right? So we knew that here, when acceleration is 5 meter per second square, force is 30. When acceleration is 6 meter per second square, force is 36. Yes. Deepak, 30, 36, absolutely. Fahima, yes. Hema, 30, 36. I hope this question is clear to all of you. Quickly, just let me know in the chat window. Yes, Dhanvati, yes, it's 36 for the second part. Papiya, yes. Shardul, 30 and 36. Okay. 30 and 36. 30 is for the first one, 36 is for the next one. So I hope that it's crystal clear. You all have understood this, right? Okay, Shardul says, ma'am, will you please repeat? Yes, sure. See, Shardul, what we have done here is simply we framed an equation first, right, from the given information. So the equation was given that force is directly proportional to the acceleration. So simply using that statement, I just wrote force is directly proportional to the acceleration. Whenever we remove the proportionality sign, right, there is a constant over here, which is ma, right, which is m over here, right, which is 6. So equation is F is equals to 6a, correct? Now all we have to do is simply, first I took acceleration as 0, put that in this equation, you have F is equals to 6 into 0. What do you get? You get 4, 0. So we plotted it here, right? And when acceleration is 5, that's going to be 6 times 5, which is 30. So on the x-axis you have 5, on the y-axis you have 30, so your point would be here, correct? You can see that the line is passing through these points. Yes, Tanushri. Okay, yes, now I'm visible? Okay. Hema says, thank you BYJU'S for this amazing session. Thank you, Hema. Alright, so I hope that whomsoever asked this question, it's clear now. Right? Shardul says, ma'am, I got it. Fan from Kerala, full cleared. Great. Alright, so similarly we use acceleration 6 meter per second square, so force was 36. I have just put in the same equation. So this was 6, this is 36, line is passing through this. So this is the required graph and we have got the force from here. Alright, so everybody has understood this, right? Alright, so this was the last question of today's session, but this is not the end because we have lined up many more sessions for you from every Monday to Friday to make you exam ready. So let me just tell you what the next session we have. So the next session is on master triangles, lines and angles, which is on November 15, that is Monday, and timings are 5 p.m. so stay tuned. Alright, so thank you so much for your generous patience. I hope that this session was informative for all of you. Whatever doubts you had related to these concepts, related to these topics are crystal clear now. So I'll see you soon in the next session. Until then, keep learning, keep practicing. Thank you.